Let's build another watch. The watch that we're building today is very different to the one that I built in my last video. This one is kind of a bit more of a Rolex-y, flashy kind of looking watch. The watch that we're going to be building today is a classic diver's watch, modeled off of the Seiko 62 MAS. It's not going to be like a 1-1 copy because the movement is slightly different, and so that has to be taken into consideration. But the dial, the hands, and the case are all going to look very, very similar. Now, I actually have a Seiko, oh, that's upside down, a Seiko 62 MAS looking watch, but this is an official Seiko Prospect. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got a gilt dial, that sort of brown. Oh, it's just absolutely lovely. But I want one that's a bit more similar to the original. And they are not only thousands and very hard to get, but, you know, they are classic. And that comes at a bit of a price. And that price is servicing the watch, or it's going to be quite delicate and it's going to be quite fragile. And I want a watch that I can just wear. And this one I wear all the time. I absolutely love it. I wore it on the wrist during renovating a house. And that says a lot. And it still looks in absolutely mint condition. These things are just so good. Now, the AliExpress watches are only £100. This one is nearly $1,000. I think that they're like $1,200. This is gonna set you back $150. You know, the movement was £17. I'll put the conversion up in dollars on the screen. The case was about 20, which is ridiculous. It's got a sapphire crystal on the front of it. The hands were like £3 or £4 or something, as was the bracelet. And then the dial, well, the dial is actually a little bit of a problem. It says Seiko, and it didn't show that it said that in the photo on the listing. So I'm a little bit upset about that. The dial is absolutely gorgeous, but this is now basically a clone dial of an original 62 MAS. I don't really know what to say. I'm not going to be linking this in the description. Buy a dial that doesn't have branding on it. You don't want to be making something which claims that it is something that it isn't. So as all good things start, we put on finger condoms. All three fingers are going to be finger condomed, and you know what? I wish I was joking. This looks ridiculous. Okay, I am now all finger condomed, and here is our little watch cushion. I'm going to be getting a better one. To be honest with you, I'm going to upgrade all my tools, and I really need to do something about the deflated ball because that is depressing. Right, let's start off by putting the dial on the movement, because once we've done that, we can put the hands on, and then it's going to start looking like a watch, and it's going to tell the time, and that's a useful feature of a watch. And if anybody has any feedback as to what they would like to see me do, how do I open this? If anybody has any feedback of like what they would want to see done differently in these videos, please let me know, because I am learning and I'm really enjoying this. So, you know, if there's anything you want me to do differently, let me know. I will take in all of the advice and the criticism. Let's plonk this down like that onto the case cushion, the watch cushion, the small black cylindrical soft thing. Now we need to take the dial. And I'm going to be very careful not to spit all over the dial. Wristwatch Revival probably doesn't talk during the actual process of him doing these things for a reason, because it's incredibly stressful and you can just spit all over everything. So I'm going to be really careful here and try not to get any saliva on this dial, because that would suck. Oh my word, just look at that dial. And the thing is as well, just like the original, all of the indices are raised, just like on the original one, and actually on my Seiko Prospects as well. The indices are all raised. You see, like the hour markers, they are all like raised. That's the same on this, which is just such nice detail. So let's place this down just like that. Oh, have I bought the wrong thing? There is something confusing going on. There is 4 little dial feet on here, which is odd because the movement only has holes for 2. So I'm now going to find out what's going on. So AliExpress doesn't explain what's going on, which is great. So what I'm going to do is remove the legs that I don't need. So on the right-hand side of the dial, it is the bottom one. Honestly, this is not great. I'm not feeling very positive about this. Okay, yeah, so on this side, it is the bottom one. Right, let's place that down very gently, and then take the flush cutters. Next one is the top one. Here we go. it's off. Since it obviously didn't cut off like completely flush, despite these being called flush cutters, there's a small little raised sort of thing from where it was. I'm gonna have to try and like file that down because that's gonna stop the dial from sitting completely flush, which is not gonna be good. So I'm gonna get a very thin flathead screwdriver in there and just sort of lift up the dial and hopefully remove it. Do not drink coffee before doing this, by the way, because you need all of the steadiness that you can get. Can you see what I'm talking about? This little bit here is raised. So I'm gonna try and file that down, and then I need to do the same to the other side as well. And what I don't like about this is that I'm filing small metal dust particles near a dial, which is the thing that you look at. So that's potentially bad, but I don't really know what else to do. So here we go. And then what I'm going to do is blow that and blow that and blow all of this. Right, we're now going to flip it round and do the other side. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So I've removed the legs that we don't need and I've filed them down so that they're nice and flush. And the thing that I just absolutely love about this little hobby is that there's not really anything to lose. I mentioned this in the last video. The most expensive parts are like the movement and the case. And even the movement, I spent £20 on the movement for this one, but I found the same movement for 17 on this one. So the most expensive part is like the case, and even that was still only like £20. But the thing is getting the experience on dials and movements and hands that are modern and cheap from AliExpress. If you break something, you can just buy it again, and you've learnt. So the next thing to do is put the hands on. So here are the hands. Now, if you haven't seen the Seiko 62 MAS before, the hands are super iconic and they go so nicely with the dial. And hopefully, because these all come from the same factory, I imagine, the loom is gonna be like the exact same color. Can you see those there? They look so good. And let's put them next to the dial. Oh yeah, they're pretty much identical. So what we're gonna do is set the time on the watch before we put the hands on. So push the stem all the way in, and then we can click it out once. That's for the date. Click it out again. That's for the time. And then we're going to rotate it away from us clockwise, which makes sense. And there we go. That's where the date is changing. So it's changed right there. I'm now going to leave that out so that the second hand is not going to be moving, because it's got hacking, which is where the second hand stays. When you pull the crown out, it stays in the same place. So we now can just put the hands on at 12 o'clock, which means that as it turns over to 12, it's going to hit the date change as well. So we know that this is actually 12 o'clock. If the movement didn't have a date, you wouldn't have to worry about that, but this one does, so we've done it. Okay, let's start off with the hour hand. It's gone wrong. And then these are little hand pusher things, and they basically are just little plastic tips which are hollow so that you can push it down the barrel of the movement. There we go. That is nice and straight. Okay, and then I'm going to push this down, and for this I will change the camera angle. Okay, I made a fatal mistake and I've scratched the hands, but this is what learning is about. So I'm going to buy some more hands, but I'm going to carry on putting the watch together just so that I can show you it being finished, but I will buy the hands and do it again. What I did wrong was I didn't push the hands down far enough. I was a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, and I didn't want to push it too hard. And then what happened was I thought all the hands were on, and I went to check that they were on by changing the time, and as they were going backwards and forwards, they were scratching one another. So now the hands have very, very small little scratches on them. Most people aren't going to care or see them. I am, and I don't like it, but as I mentioned, there are a few pounds to buy some more. So I will buy some more. Let's carry on building the watch. The other thing I'm not happy about is using metal tweezers. I think while I'm learning, I am just too shaky. I'm going to order some ceramic tweezers. So use ceramic tweezers. That is frustrating. I've been really excited to put this together, and now I've scratched the hands. They're all okay now, and I can feel that because as it's spinning around, it's not, there's no resistance whatsoever. But yeah, the other thing is though, is like the quality of the finish of these hands. You have to remember that this is sort of stuff from AliExpress and it is quite cheap. They weren't perfect to begin with, and there was little scuffs on them. And this is meant to imitate a vintage watch, which probably also wouldn't have perfect hands, but they could be better. And I've definitely made them worse. So I'm gonna order some more. What we are going to do is remove the stem, the crown and stem. To do this, you have to push the stem all the way in. See this tiny little part right here? Watch what happens to that as I pull it out. See how it clicks in and then it goes even further in? You need to make sure that that's all the way in so that it's exposed. And then what we're gonna do is push that down with some tweezers and pull out the crown and stem. Usually, a proper watchmaker would have like a holder so that they weren't having to hover the movement above the watch cushion as to not damaging the hands. Give everything a good little dust off. And then we can take the case and lower it over the top. Oh, that is just, this is going to be so gorgeous. Lower it over the top like that. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly centered. And then we can do a little rotate. There we go. So what we can do is very quickly screw down the case back. I'm just going to do it lightly. I'm not going to do it the whole way because we need to still put the crown and stem on, but I want to flip it around and take a look at what it looks like. Oh my goodness me. That is absolutely gorgeous. And I knew it would be as well. Wow. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, let me show you how to correctly cut the stem. So we're going to unscrew the crown, and that's going to come out like that. This is a screw down case, so hopefully it should be waterproof. This is just like a temporary one. This just comes in the movement. Included with the movement is an actual one. And what we are going to do is place it all the way in to the movement. So this is what I have learnt since the last time I made this video. So we're going to push it all the way in like that. We need to press that little thing down again. The same way that we released it, we need to press that down again. There we go. So now that that is all the way in, what we're going to do is take the crown and screw it onto the end like so. And then we take a set of vernier calipers. This is where things get quite professional. So what we're going to do is measure between the end of the threads on this little barrel and the inside of the crown using this end of the calipers. So just make sure that it's tiered to 0. Let's just do that now. And that's not working. There we go. Okay, and then we can measure. So for me, it is 6.17. So then what we do is remove the crown again. Pull it all the way out. There we go. We can set that off to the side, and then we need to remove the crown off the end. Hold it up to the calipers, take a Sharpie, and just mark right there, the 6.17 mark. And now you're going to take your flush cutters and cut a little bit to the left of that. You don't want to go too far in because you can always remove more. You can't add more. So I'm going to cut it right there. There we go, we're off. I don't know where that went. I'll find that in between my toes in a month's time. So now we're just gonna file very gently the end of that just to make it nice and flat and smooth and clean. So now we're gonna take the crown and screw that onto the stem. That screws all the way down, nice and tight, so that it's waterproof. And then when we unscrew it, we can then pull it out, and it's got plenty of play there as well. That should be more than enough. And then we can screw it all the way in again. And that is it. Okay, and now I can pretty much safely assume the movement's not going to fall out. Look at that. So what I'm going to do before we screw the case back on is just make sure that the O-ring is nice and lubricated so that it's hopefully going to be a really nice seal. This is just a little bit of a sort of a greaser for the O-ring or the gasket. I'm not really sure of its exact name, but now it's covered in a nice little bit of grease, which will just help make it watertight. And then before we screw down the case back, we can give everything one final little dust, and then goes down the case back. And what I'm going to do is peel off this protective sticker. And before I really tighten it up with the little ball, let's just give it one final little inspection. That looks beautiful. I'm really, really happy with that. Bearing in mind, I need to open it again, so it does look like it could maybe be shifted slightly this way, but since I'm going to be opening it up again to put new hands in, and that's pretty good, I would say that's fine for now. So let's just screw that down so that I can wear it confidently. It's definitely going to be water resistant, that is for sure. Okay, and then just to finish it off, I'm going to take these off now because I can't feel my fingers. I think this is called like a waffle strap or something like that, or something along those lines, and it's just got like this kind of nice design on it. It's fairly similar to the original one. It's also got quick release spring bars, which is quite nice. So what we're going to do is take off the existing ones. They have come on the case anyway, but we're not going to need them. Okay, so we can now fit the strap, and you just sort of pull down the little spring bar. And that's it, the first one in. Okay, and then the next one. Oh yeah, look at that. Right, here we go. They're all nice and in. Let me just give that a little wipe on the front before we rotate it round. Boom. Look at that. My very own Seiko 62 MAS homage watch. That is absolutely gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. Wow. I can't believe it. It looks so similar as well to this. That is just absolutely stunning. Wow. I am so pleased with that. And it's even got like quite a nice sort of design on the back, which is quite reminiscent to an original 62 MAS. They've carried that on with the Prospects. But yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness. And it's got the domed sapphire crystal as well. And there's a bezel which rotates and makes a really lovely click. Oh my word. That is just stunning. Let's now remove the protective film from the case. We want the scratches. This watch has no sort of value long term. It's just going to be what you get out of it from the enjoyment perspective. So let it get scratched. Let it show its love. Let it show its wear. Let it show its age. And if it breaks, well, you can just spend £17 on a brand new movement. And there's also a little sticker on the crown there as well. We can take that off. Look at that. Oh my goodness me. I've ordered the hands as well. They were £5, so I've ordered another set of those. I do love a rubber strap. We're also coming into the summer months, and a rubber strap just feels pretty good because then you can just run it under the sink and just wash it, which is great if you get a little bit sweaty. And you can still do lots of sports and physical activities. This is a diver's watch, so it was made for sort of action. Oh my word. I think everyone can agree that is stunning. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening staring at this. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye. Oh, and by the way, the luminescence is just stunning.